What's up, everybody? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the P-Force team that is A-Force with the introduction of Photon. You don't want to call it that, don't call it that. That's what I'm going with. So we're going to quickly talk about how the team works mechanically, because I get a lot of questions about this team. It is pretty tricky as far as ISO setup goes, and as far as Nico's ultimate goes, how to utilize him that. So that's going to kind of change from team to team, but we're just going to talk about the theory of that before we get into the examples. Then just know there's going to be like 30 minutes of so use the timestamps if you're curious about certain matchups, especially the Darkhold and the Gamma matchups. I know those are kind of the most sought after counters. You'll know my thoughts of there. But before we get into that, I'd like to give a big shout out to today's sponsors, Into the AM. I want to give a huge thanks to the sponsors of today's video, Into the AM. If you're a fan of the channel, you know I love this company. The fit, the feel, the comfort, the quality of their clothing is unbeatable. 10 out of 10. My drawer is full of it, my wife's drawer is full of it, and even my son is getting in on the action now. I want to share with you some of the sales they have coming up. So from August 11th to the 14th, they're going to have a best sellers flash sale up to 30% off on their best sellers. And you'll see some amazing graphics here. I really like the Saturn Run tee and the Mixtape tee. I actually already own one of these, but my son wants one. He already has the Volcano one, but he wants another one. From August 17th to the 18th, they have packs up to 40% off. And August 22nd to the 28th, they're going to have a huge clearance sale up to 95% off. But that's not all. Make sure you use my code DORKY for an additional 10% off. It also lets them know that I sent you, so I'd really appreciate you using that code. Stay inspired. Pick up some Into the AM merch. You will not regret it. And let's get back into the episode. All right, so let's quickly break down just T4's ISO because I know that's always a topic. I don't want to spend too much time on this because you're going to see it all in action quite a bit in the video. It's already going to be pretty long. So as far as T4s go, look, what I have listed here is just the essentials. If you want my honest opinion, I did every single T4 on this team. I'm using them everywhere. War shelf life on offense is just a lot higher than elsewhere, but to me, it was worth it. If these are the essentials, but if you wanted to really make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck, you definitely want to have Nico passive done, Jessica Jones passive done. That's where they're getting their new healing from the rework, as well as some effects like clearing debuffs. Nico needs to have that for a match like the Underworld, as you'll see. Jessica Jones gives defense up. Again, that would be huge for the Underworld matchup. So there's a couple matches where these T4s that are not essential become like life-saving. So like borderlines essential at that point. And then all the basics, especially on Photon, Captain Marvel, and Spider-Woman, obviously gain a lot of benefit if you're going to have them as a striker. Speaking of striker, let's talk ISO 8. So I do have striker on those three big damage dealers. Photon does max lifesteal. Spider-Woman does defense down, plus hits hella hard. Captain Marvel, she kind of sucks. She will kill through death proof if they happen to be at that point, right? That's the reason for having striker on her. Nico Manure as a raider, we're going to talk about that when we get to Gamma. You're going to see why. It's because I have to target Green Hulk. I guess we'll talk about that in a little bit when we look at Nico Manure's ultimate as well. Jessica Jones, I have her as a skirmisher here in game. I actually have her as a raider. I just like to live dangerously. And if someone is foolish enough to put their Red Hulk beside their Green Hulk in war, it gives me an additional chance to get a vulnerable. That helps out. If you want to talk about the rest of this stuff, we can talk about it on stream. This, of course, is an infographic available on the Patreon at the end of this patch. It'll go up for free on the Discord. But if you want to support the channel, it's a great way to do it. Let's get in game and let's talk about our actual team here. So here we are looking at the actual team. As you can see, my ISOs are what I said they were. We got Raider on Nico and Raider on Jessica Jones. And let's first go in and just look at the Nico Manure ultimate. It's the most important thing to talk about here. Does damage, of course, flips positive effects, deflect, minor deflect, speed up, defense up. This is why the team is as good as they are and can enemy teams in the first turn. But that's not the tricky part. The tricky part, which makes this team a skill-based team, is this next part. On war offense, if this character has 3 or more A-Force allies, apply trauma for 2 turns and disrupt for 2 turns. And this is where it gets tricky. The primary target, the enemy with the highest health, and the enemy with the highest damage. These will never overlap. Let's say we're in a hypothetical world. We're targeting Squirrel Girl on the Young Avenger team. We haven't done any damage yet because the highest health, it goes by percentage before it goes numerical. So everybody knows. We target Squirrel Girl. She is the primary target. She has the highest health, and for whatever reason, she has the highest damage. She doesn't eat all 3 of these occurrences. So she will only eat the primary target. The highest health will then go to the character with the second highest health. and then the highest damage, the same thing after that. And it goes in the same order. So say if it goes from Squirrel Girl, she's the primary, then it goes to Miss Marvel, who has the highest health. Maybe Miss Marvel also has the highest damage. Miss Marvel doesn't need both of those occurrences as well. And then the third one goes to Kate Bishop, whatever it may be. That's what we're going to lean into in that particular fight. And so what does this mean? This means you need to be incredibly focused with where you're putting this attack. And when there is a character on the enemy team that must get the trauma and the disrupt for 2 turns, you have to be precise about it. Gamma matchup, I kind of alluded to it earlier. I have to do Hulk. He has to be my primary target, and then I'm at the mercy of who is the highest health and who is the highest damage. More often than not, in the Gamma matchup, that could be Red Hulk, but maybe, just maybe, we're going to switch it up. Maybe Red Hulk takes damage from wherever. I don't know where he would take damage in this case. Maybe we have him as a fortifier and Brawn as a striker, so he's the highest damage. These type of things can happen. So we need to target Green Hulk, and then we're at the mercy of that. Not great. Same thing with the Darkhold matchup. You need to target Wong to make sure he gets the trauma and the disrupt. Otherwise, he can step in with his taunt, get stuck behind that, and that's not great. In the Young Avengers matchup, that will be Miss Marvel. Want to make sure she doesn't step in with taunt, so we need her to get disrupt. And then whatever other 2 enemies happen to get the disrupt and the trauma, we probably kill them first. Furthermore, in matchups like Young Avengers and Heroes for Hire, where they have like crazy healing mechanics, you want to make sure your Spider-Woman is hitting on the end of one of these teams with her special, because this doesn't bring heal block, right? Nico doesn't do the heal block. It's Spider-Woman that does. Which, with Photon and Spider-Woman having identical speed, can be problematic. We're going to see examples of that in this. But it never hurts against the older meta teams because A-Force is just crazy now, that front. So, yeah, so just to rehash this. Target the enemy that you know 100,000% has to get disrupt and has to get trauma for you to be able to do what you need. Let's back out to the team for a second. I just want to harp down on why the ISO selection is what it is. Spider-Woman has 128 speed, and Photon also has 128 speed. I think this was a developing mistake. I think they probably should have made Nico's 129. They should have made Nico 130. They should have bumped her up by 1 speed. They should have bumped up either Photon or Spider-Woman to 129. There's no coin flip there, because then we could actually have a skirmisher between the 2 of them and kind of know how the fight will play out. As it is now, because of what we just talked about with Nico, how you have to target a specific target, maybe that target's not your kill target, right? In the case of Darkhold and Gamma, I don't care to kill Wong, I don't care to kill Green Hulk, I want to kill Red Hulk, I want to kill Morgan. But because I know I have to target that character, I cannot force a vulnerable onto one of the other enemies. You can if Jessica, like say Jessica Jones is a skirmisher and you're going up against Darkhold and there's no pre-taunt. Well, then you could target Morgan and for sure get a skirmisher. But if there is a pre-taunt, then you can no longer do that, which is why I kind of like Raider on her. Raider skirmisher, I feel like there's benefits to both of those. Same with Nico. We used to be able to target who we wanted to kill because we knew A-Force wasn't going to touch Gamma, wasn't going to touch Darkhold. But now that they do, Raider has a lot more benefit. It's RNG. I hate relying on RNG for my war fights, but just so you know why I'm doing what I'm doing, it's for those higher value matches. Because honestly, against every other team you're going to see here, I guess with the exception of Underworld, Bifrost walks over everything. Let's get to some examples, and I hope you enjoy the video. All right, guys, so here we go, and we're going to put our P-Force through the motions here. We're going to take as many of the meta defense teams as we can possibly have set. And we'll start with the team that A-Force was like introduced to counter, and that was the Young Avengers. Now, there's no America Chavez on this team. That doesn't matter. The team still wipes floor with it. America Chavez, you're rarely going to see her here anymore anyway, because her 25% speed bar to other teams like Darkhold or even like New Warriors is just more beneficial. We're going to see that much. So let's go in here. This is a 263k punch up. It's going to be absolutely walk through it. The one thing we talked about a little bit before, and I just want to hamper on it even more, is that it's uber important to know who you're hitting with Jessica Jones if you're hitting anybody at all. So in this case, I want to make sure I can get all the Nico ultimate debuffs on Miss Marvel, Squirrel Girl, and Kate. Those are the 3 I want to hit. This obviously is going to change on the positioning of the enemy team, where you can go. But for me, what I need to do is I need to do damage to the Echo and to the Death Pool to make sure that they are ineligible to be the healthiest. And if I take the offense up off the Echo, then she's going to be ineligible to have the highest damage. And obviously I'm not going to target one of them to be a primary. Depending on how the positioning goes, what I would say is you at least want to get 2 out of the 3 kill targets done. Whether that's Miss Marvel and Kate or Miss Marvel and Squirrel Girl, you want it to be one of those pairs. You definitely want it to be Miss Marvel because you don't want to get stuck behind a taunt. And it doesn't really matter unless you're doing a giant punch down, in which case you're going to power through anyway. If you're doing a giant punch down and you activate Squirrel Girl's passive to heal well before you're actually killing anybody, they'll go back to full life. But again, if you're doing that much damage this early, I assume you're doing a huge punch down. And it doesn't matter that they got full healed, you're still going to turn around and kill them because the disrupt is going to stop them from getting any buffs. So I'll do that, exactly that. I'm going to target Echo here, and we just got to make sure we do the primary target correct. So because we hit Squirrel Girl and we took our offense up off her, we definitely want to target her. So she's a primary target. She's going to guaranteed get those Nico debuffs. Then you're going to see highest health percentage and highest damage is going to be Kate and Miss Marvel. They took away the ability for it to double up, so that's really good. And while I was talking, Photon's ult went off. So I think the heal is actually going to come out. The heal does not come up before Photon, which is crazy. The way this is playing out is so different than what it used to. If there was a Chavez on the field speeding up Squirrel Girl, then that would. But again, we have the disrupt on Kate. We have the disrupt on Miss Marvel. Even if she got the heal off, we still have Photon's damage to go through, and we still have Captain Marvel's damage to go through. We can for sure delete one of them. Now, we know that Jessica Jones is going to get her special done next, so I don't really care to cleanse anything here. We also know Nico's passive will cleanse her. These blinds don't bother me at all. Not that that would matter in this exact case. I love killing Miss Marvel first. I just love killing Miss Marvel now that we have Photon and now the A-Force got their buffs. I don't find those blinds from Kate to be that detrimental. Also, we know that Spider-Woman's special is unavoidable, so I don't mind her having the block either. So I can go ahead and I can do the ability block over here. I can do the ability block on Squirrel Girl. I have lots of options for this. I'll go ahead and do it to Kate here, so she doesn't, well, so she dies, I guess. And that's the A-Force power now. With the offense up that Spider-Woman is apparently giving on her passive, it hits so hard when she goes. Now, the coin flip between Photon and Spider-Woman is super annoying, but it doesn't seem to be that big a deal. Anyway, we've spoken more than we've played this matchup. We're kind of going through the motions here. In the next couple fights, we're going to go through it a lot faster. Go ahead and finish this up. So this has become a pretty popular team. Even just the 4 or the 5 new pretty popular team. People just have it really built up. For Crucible, it's not a great offensive team because it doesn't get speed bar or do a lot of the interesting that it does in Crucible. So it kind of defaults to defense. Again, A-Force laughs at this team, just goes in there and crushes it, which is good. That's what we want. You see all the dodges, they immediately get taken off. Jessica Jones passive, just doing passive things, I guess. I actually don't know how those dodges always get ripped off. I just know they always do. So the same thing we did before. We want to make sure we leave somebody with the highest damage, the highest health, who we want to get those debuffs, and the primary target. For whatever it's worth, I don't think it matters at all here. I just want to make sure that I get the disrupt on Gwenpool. I don't care who else gets it. I just target her, and I do that Nico ultimate on her when it's time. Mind you, because Nico is the fastest speed character, the Firestar does strip the speed up off your Nico, so she doesn't go first in the usual A-Force barrage. But again, it doesn't really matter. We'll just go around the world here. Spider-Woman going first before the Photon, so she got the offense up. Now Photon's going to go. Nico may not even see her turn at this rate. All right, so Nico's going to get one turn off, but as you can see, this was a pretty big punch up, and it didn't matter at all. You know what? Let's just do the bleeds to make sure we get a kill here. All right, P-Force versus the new Bifrost team. This is a very popular team on defense now. And instead of the hero Asgardian combo that was out there because people are building their Bifrost up huge because it's such a deciding factor in the Crucible landscape. Luckily, again, P-Force just walks over it. It just kills it. So let's get that done. And we'll see. It doesn't matter if they put Val and Beta Ray Bill with the Hero Asgardians. We'll show that later. So like we've been doing this whole time, I just want to make sure I'm getting the Nico debuffs on the right targets. Don't hit Beta Ray Bill. That's it. Just make sure you do not target Beta Ray Bill. Leave him as the highest health or the highest damage, whatever the case may be. He will have more damage than Loki or Teen Loki for the most part. So if you can hit the clump here, hit the clump here. If you got to hit the clump here because Beta Ray Bill's in this corner, whatever the case may be, then do that. Let's give it that wave real quick. So we hit that, and now with the Nico ultimate, I'll target Val. Even though Val has the highest damage, I know she does, but let's play in a hypothetical world, right? So we'll throw the ult, and you see Beta Ray Bill did get the disrupt. That's the most important thing that we want here, and then we just start popping off. So we'll focus down the Val. Obviously, Val is always the biggest threat on this team. We have no disrupts to hit into, so it doesn't really matter what we do here. We'll just do the special here. Captain Marvel's going to pop off. There's a death proof over here on Beta Ray Bill, so let's make sure we kill Beta Ray Bill. Remember, Sylvie, outside of raids, not opening up with that ultimate, so we're not worried about any kind of rewinds or anything like that. And now that Val is gone, obviously, we win this match. So, Bifrost, huge punch-ups capable here, which is nice. You want to build your P-Force up as high as you build your raid teams, right? All right, so we touched on the Hero Asgardian part of it all. Let's show how it works against Hero Asgardians. This one's a little tricky, I guess, but it's also really automatic. So what I would suggest here is just hit the Sif, use the special, or sorry, the ultimate on Sif. If you pull off the immunity, great. If you don't, you're still just going to do enough damage to get through it. For whatever reason, Sif has like either insane damage or insane health, because she will always get targeted by the Spider-Woman. Even if you do the Jessica Jones basic, Sif pulls it. So we'll try and get it off of her. We didn't, that's okay. So you see I did so much damage to her because of the assist attack. I'll go over here. I want to make sure I get this on Thor. Let's see if we get 3 or if one defaults to Sif. So yeah, as you can see, one of them defaulted to Sif. Why? Couldn't tell you. But what I could tell you is it doesn't really matter because we did get that disrupt. We did get that immunity on those two over there. Yes, you're going to get healed up because we didn't have heal block out yet. But again, it just doesn't matter. So from here on, I'll just go ahead and throw this on one of the corners so it hits everybody. We killed Spider-Woman, just is insane damage. That's why she is your like #1 build priority on this team almost. It's just crazy. And also her plug and play potential. I don't want to say it rivals Photon because it doesn't, but it's up there. I guess that's not true. Photon is your #1 build priority here. I really, really like Spider-Woman. Her damage is nutty. Anyway, you can see how this goes. Even when you don't get the 3 debuffs out from Nico, as long as you're attacking the corners to make sure your chains are working properly, you're going to be fine. All right, here we are against like an evergreen defensive team, the Heroes for Hire. This one's with Captain America. I'm going to do another one with a Pretaunt just to kind of show you how that goes. But yeah, so this is one that we're seeing quite often now that we have a lot more defensive options. So we don't really need Rebirth on defense, even though they're still a great defensive team. 300k punch up. The benefit of this one is you don't need to try and peel the taunt off. So like I don't need to do anything. I could just use the special, right? Like who cares? I don't need to peel the taunt off, so it doesn't matter. Then you want to make sure you target Shang-Chi. We want him for sure to have those debuffs. I can open up with the ultimate from Photon here because we did Jessica Jones special. Let's say we didn't though. Let's use the special instead. There you go. Now let's go across the world here. We almost did too much damage with our Spider-Woman. Obviously with the charges, you don't want to push them past, right? And because we don't want to push them past, it's probably not a good idea to use Captain Marvel Ultimate. We just don't need that binary damage, so why test it? The special is now so good because it's giving you speed bar. It's just way better. So let's go ahead and use it here. It got blocked, so we get counterattacked. Who cares? Shang-Chi is now ready to die, and he'll do just that after his next turn. I guess we could have used the Captain Marvel Ultimate. It would have peeled through the death proof, but again, we just don't have to. It's a real strong counter, this one. All right, let's go ahead and get these last charges off. There it goes. The Luke Cage is now going to go down. That's the last charge off of Misty Knight as well. And then let's try and take out... Yeah, there goes the Colleen. And finally the Misty Knight. I don't know. Let's toy with him a little bit. Let's use the Jessica Jones special. Basics. And there you go. Well, let's go ahead on over and do a Pretaunt version. Just because. All right, so here we are up against the Pretaunt. Notice this is not a punch up, it's a huge punch down. I just want to show you mechanically how this happens. I just happen to have control of the accounts. So as soon as we're stuck behind the taunt, what we're gonna do is we'll check. So you could check the power levels of the team, right? You could hit this little view teams. We can see who's what. Obviously, the Shang-Chi is gonna have the highest damage. So I don't need to try and strip the taunt off. In fact, stripping the taunt off will just give me a bigger chance of him not having the highest health or having the highest whatever. So I'll just use a special again. Why not? Nico goes next. And then, you know, I'm not surprised, but Shang-Chi has all the debuffs. We're still stuck behind the taunt, but I don't really care. As long as we have those debuffs, it is what it is. And now I'm free to go ahead and put this heal block over here on Shang-Chi. We almost kill him again. It's a giant punch down, so I guess that would be a baby concern, but even then, it's not really a concern. So he's now lost all his charges. We'll go ahead and throw the ultimates. We're not worried about him bleeding out and then healing back up now. We get a bunch of turns. They've already lost all the charges. Again, this is a much bigger punch down than what we have been doing in the testing in this video so far. But that's basically how I approach it, even when I'm doing punch-ups. You feed into the Nico ultimate. As long as you're using the Nico ultimate appropriately and getting it on the right targets that you want to get it on, you should be okay in this matchup. I've done it on punch-ups with the Pretaunt. All right, now here's one of the scary options. A full Underworld team. A very, very big Underworld team. This is a 300k punch-up in Underworld. If you're not doing 300k punch-up, this works all the time. You are doing a 300k punch-up, you need to watch out for a couple things. The most important thing is, when is Nico going to be taking her turn? The Green Goblin, I believe it's Green Goblin, is stripping off like one buff from one character. And if he chooses Nico, it's a big problem. Also, if your Jessica Jones gets ability blocked here, it's not great. I've gotten through it many times. Like, I've gotten through this fight if just Nico, Spider-Woman, and Captain Marvel survive, and that's enough. Because Photon has such new stats, and she's a new character, she's likely going to get the taunt from the Taskmaster and just die. There's not much you can do about that. If not, though, like in this opening barrage, it was Captain Marvel that got taunted, so my Photon should be perfectly fine. See, there's the taunt on her. She does need to eat a whack load of attacks, which is annoying, but because she didn't get targeted at first, she should be fine. My point was that I've done this exact fight on this exact punch-up with just Nico, Spider-Woman, and Captain Marvel left and survived. Now, what you don't want to do here is you don't want to do the ultimate. That'll get you killed. So instead, we're going to do this special, and we don't want to target Taskmaster with this. If we target Taskmaster, he's going to counterattack us, and it'll be a problem. You can't see it, but he does have immunity over there. But he's the only one who can't be blinded. So let's go ahead and do the special away from Taskmaster. You see, it looks like we got our speed up stripped off from literally everybody. Captain Marvel is in trouble. Let's go ahead, and we're just going to hit over here again. Actually, no, we can hit over here. This is kind of like a flowing fight, I guess you would say. Depending on when Jessica Jones gets returns, like, look at all the debuffs we have on Captain Marvel. That is a feature of Jessica Jones getting speed bar. So I can't guide you verbatim through the fights, because normally Jessica Jones doesn't pop up here again. Normally there's not that many debuffs that go out because they're targeting the Photon the whole time instead, because the immunity from Photon with the safeguard stops all that, but this one just didn't. So I can go for the strip here. It's a double-edged sword. It's going to maybe strip off defense up, strip off the deflex, and that's not great. But I still think you want to do it to try and get some of those offense ups off there just to be certain. So let's go ahead and do that. Didn't strip off, well, we did strip off the immunity from Taskmaster, which is like the best case scenario. Because now, we still have that blind. So Nico's passive, where she clears debuffs. Where is that part of it? On turn, heal self 5% of this character and clear 2 negative effects. It looks like Nico probably had 3 negative effects, so this is actually pretty bad. I'll throw it anyway. We'll see how it goes. So there goes the ultimate. The reason I threw it was to activate the Photon ultimate. And now I could use the special from Spider-Woman. We got the offense up. There's no way I wouldn't do this. We'll get a whole bunch of offense downs out there. Maybe we'll get a kill. We got a kill on Green Goblin. That's great. Captain Marvel died before getting a turn. Now Photon is dead, and this is the bad stuff. Try and get some more energy back. We still have blinds over here, so we'll throw that. We'll now try and get through this Mr. Negative. He was blinded, so we're protected from that. We still got to deal with all these assists from Taskmaster, though. Now, with Nico having the highest damage, it's kind of scary. Go, try and get through Mr. Negative yet again. He's now done. Let's kill these two. Let's just use the basic here. And now it's a 3v1. Freaking Nobu passive. And see, we get through it. So, super ugly. So many things went wrong there. That is probably the worst that's ever happened. I mean, normally I at least have Captain Marvel alive. But you see with the passive healing that they're getting on their turn now, they just kind of find a way to get through it. Let's do another one to see if we can show what normally happens, especially if it's a punch down or a punch across. All right, so here we are. Let's see how this goes. So right away, that could have been bad. If we got the ability block landed on our Jessica Jones, that could have been not great. Captain Marvel dies right away. Not surprised somebody could easily die if Jessica Jones doesn't step in and cleanse quickly enough. I'm surprised Jessica Jones didn't step in and cleanse there before Taskmaster goes. Normally she does, but it doesn't really matter, so we'll get this cleanse off. We still have speed up on Nico. That's one thing you need to keep an eye out on. Who does Green Goblin take the speed up off first? So Nico kept it the longest, so we should get a Nico ultimate coming in here soon. All right, there goes Photon. So what you want to make sure you do here is don't use the ultimate. The ultimate will get you killed. And you don't want to hit Taskmaster with the special either, because he does have the immunity, so he will not get blinded here. He will wreck you. This ability, 1000% extra focus, cannot be blocked, so you should never really miss it on this enemy team. It should never really be a problem. See, we landed on everybody, even with the deflex and all that. Seems fine. Jessica Jones is stepping in here now just because of how many debuffs have landed on our team. We go ahead and use the ultimate over here, try and peel some stuff off Taskmaster. We weren't really lucky there, but that's okay. We'll use the Nico ultimate, targeting basically anybody. We just want to do as much damage as possible. And then you see it's just a whack load of damage starts coming through, right? Now we'll use the special. This will probably get that Mr. Negative killed. And now it's a 4v1. So, like, on a punch across, punch down, this fight works wonders. In a 300k punch up, like, you got to be super sketchy. It's super sketchy. It is. Especially with Photon dying. That Captain Marvel dying, that's the first I've ever seen that happen. But my Photon regularly dies, and the 4 of them still pull it off. I've also had the worst RNG ever, where it's just Nico, Spider-Woman, and Captain Marvel left, and that happens super early in the fight, but the passive healing they now get carries them through it, and once they start picking off one member here, one member there, the Underworld team, it snowballs. But is this a counter? Yeah. Is it one to, hang your hat up on? Maybe, because Underworld is so hard to counter otherwise. But if you have your Underworld on offense and they have theirs on defense, I would strongly suggest just using your Underworld paired with Kestrel to counter it. It becomes a much easier fight. But it's an option, so I just wanted to show it. All right, and then we have the big boy teams, right? We'll start getting into the Darkholds and the Gammas. So let's go in with the P-Force against Darkhold, and we'll start off with just Chavez. Then we'll go instead of Chavez, we'll go Pretaunt, and then instead of Pretaunt, we'll go Chavez with Pretaunt, because that's the 3 variations we often see. And if you see Dormammu, use War Dog. I don't know. P-Force does beat Black Order as well, like very handedly. When the Thanos flips everything, Jessica Jones just cleanses everything and gives a bunch of defense up, and you go from there. The amount of debuffs the Black Order team lands just gets countered. You spawn with defense up, even if it's in react. Like, it doesn't really matter what room you're attacking Black Order in. They probably punch up the best into Black Order. I'm not sure if that's the most viable thing. And also because the season's almost over, I don't really want to wait until I get into a live server with like a punch up. I'm at the mercy of that point. But yeah, so Darkhold, this is going to be a matchup we might be doing for a very long time. I will say with Apocalypse, it doesn't work. Apocalypse makes A-Force not work against all the big boy counters you would want it to work against, which are already sketchy enough. But it does a good burn, and it has the possibility to win against A-Hold, Darkhold. It just A-Hold, I guess. But I wouldn't hang my hat on it. Here we go. This is just a 160k punch up. The next one will be a much bigger punch up. So first things first, we're just gonna do an attack. There's no reason to give energy out, nothing like that. So I go ahead again, attack on the Morgan Le Fay, and then she pops off. Now the reason this counter just immediately works is because we don't get turn meter rebound. We just don't. Will we lose some buffs? We could absolutely lose some buffs that can mess with the turn order, but pretty much regardless, Nico goes before Wong, and then you just put the ultimate on Wong, and you win. And that's it. So America Chavez got yeeted. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I guess because Agatha got the debuff, I can go here, put a blind on her so she's not hitting us. She'll still do the heal, still do the barrier. I could also go over and do the same thing to Strange. But because we hit the Morgan, Chavez, and Wong, and we primary targeted Wong, this is why we got the debuffs we got. In a different world, this can change, and then I would suggest you follow the Disrupt into Trauma so that the Agatha passive doesn't pop off on you. So I'll do exactly that, and I would say the priority would be Agatha into Heartless, because then you get rid of that pesky stealth, right? Okay, so let's go ahead. We want the speed bar. Nah, I think we want the ultimate damage here. Oof, I did nothing. Spider-Woman going last after everybody, so that offense up is wasted. Not great. Also not the end of the world. Again, because we put the Disrupt on Wong, he doesn't get his taunt up, and then Spider-Woman comes in. She's got the ability block with a bazillion focus on it, really just 100%. And then she's going to land that, and then you're not worried about the Morgan doing her special, rewinding you, all that kind of shenanigans, healing up, all that stuff. And you can see we can kind of take our time. We're somewhat toying with this team, but also not really. I did just put Morgan into stealth really sillily. It's not the end of the world. Morgan takes her turn, and then we'll finish off Morgan. And as you guys know, like when Morgan's gone, the threat is gone. Let's go ahead and just try to get this death proof off Agatha. She's being annoying. She doesn't want to let go. Let go, Agatha. It's okay. All right, so the ultimate from Photon will finish her up. And I guess there's still the ticking time bomb in Heartless, but because we have defense up basically all the time from Jessica Jones' special, I think Jessica Jones' passive is now given defense up now too. We're really never in any kind of trouble. All right, so here's the simple pre-taunt version of the team. Now we're doing about a 300k punch up now, so I kind of like showing it better, especially when we're practice. I like to kind of shave off the punching possibility by about half of what your maximum is in practice. So if the maximum in practice is 300, which I'm not case, then I was in live server, like try and keep it to 150. But how this one goes is very simple. We're going to try and strip the Absorbing Man. If we don't, it's not the end of the world. But we did, so now we're going to go ahead and target Wong. Want to make sure that he gets that Disrupt, just like in the last one. Goes to Morgan. Again, not surprised, because she's going to have the highest damage. There is a world where Wong can have higher damage than her, depending on red stars and ISO selection, but that wasn't the case here, for obvious reasons. All right, next thing I want to do is I just want to throw a blind out. I just want to blind Morgan. I'm not going to ability block Morgan, because that seems a bit of a waste at this point. Instead, I'll throw it over here at Agatha. So we're not going to get barrier. We're not worried about anything at this point. She's not even going to put people in stealth unless their name is Heartless. So I'll tell you what, why don't we go ahead and just let this ult rip. We'll let it rip at Morgan, for sure. So now Morgan's using her ultimate, but she's blinded, so it misses. This is why it was Photon. Now, if Spider-Woman went first, maybe I would have been more open to using the ability block on Morgan, just so I can make sure something lands. Because if Photon gets resisted, which is like super duper unlikely because of the 1000% focus she gets on the blind, then I do want to make sure that I can get at least some sort of control on the Morgan. But as you see, Morgan just went down there, so let's just continue our onslaught here. With Morgan down, we're really not worried about anything. Heartless is still 2 turns away from his ultimate at this point. Now he's no longer getting the speed bar from Morgan. Now he's out of stealth. Wong already wasted his taunt because we got that first disrupt on him, so we'll go for Heartless. And now Heartless is gone. Here we go. All right, so those are the 2 like variations you see besides the A-hold team, which again, just A-hold. Let's go look at them put together, which it doesn't change anything. All right, now finally we're doing the Darkhold matchup with the Pretaunt and with Chavez. Chavez always speeding up Wong, and best way to go. We subbed out Heartless here and left the Agatha. The reason you do that is because of the pesky stealth and how that could trip people up. If you don't have that, Heartless instead, nuke Morgan. There's nothing to protect her from your team. But here we go. Now we're doing basically a punch across now. So the enemy Chavez and the enemy Absorbman are tanking the power of this team. It's still all gear tier 17, all 7 red stars, all ISO level 5 members. So we're gonna basically do the same thing we did in all matches. We're gonna use the ultimate, and if we strip the taunt off, great. If we don't strip the taunt off, oh well, it is what it is. The Absorbman placed next to the Wong is definitely what you would see here. In such a case, if Nico didn't get ability blocked, then she'd be able to do exactly what we've been doing, right? So let's go ahead and just start feeding into the Wong here. We also got the speed up stripped off of our Spider-Woman. Oof, looks like we pushed the Wong a lot faster than I'm used to, but that's okay. Go ahead and throw the ultimate here. And there's the taunt from Wong, and you'll notice that's why I didn't do the Captain Marvel special. It would not have made me go first. We're just kind of going through the motions. This should get a bunch of energy going. This will not land any of the offense downs because of the immunity we put on ourselves. This will strip us of everything. Again, we're not too worried about it. There's so much damage lacking from this team now without the Heartless and without a 5th that does actual real damage. So now we use the Nico ultimate, covers them in debuffs, and we just win. It's as simple as that. It's just, when we're taking too many pieces off the Darkhold, it severely harpens, damages, nerfs what they're capable of. Words are tough early in the morning. But as you see, not a bad matchup at all for our P-Force. All right, now the final counter we're going to show is going to be against a full Gamma team. Just like in the Darkhold matchup, the second Apocalypse was introduced here, run away. Okay, just don't try and use your P-Force on that. At that point, you want to do a burn attack followed by nowhere. It'd be a much easier fight. Maybe full Secret Defenders will beat APOC Gamma. That remains to be seen. But yeah, so the thing about this fight is I'm only doing 160k punch-up. Most people don't go as hard as I do into War Offense teams. I find the War Offense team lifespan is longer than any other mode. But most people don't anyway. So you'll probably be doing much higher punch-ups. Completely possible. There's a lot of things that are kind of sketchy in it though, especially if you have a small photon. So if like the enemy Red Hulk is gear tier 18 and comes over and one-shots your photon, then you're done, right? You're just done. Luckily, we don't get any debuffs landed on us. We need to strip this Green Hulk as fast as possible. And this is why I like Nico's Raider for this matchup in particular. I have to land the Nico Trauma Disrupt on Green Hulk. If I don't, he will step in before I kill the Red Hulk. If you are a super Kraken, you don't need to do that. You can go over, you could target Red Hulk, your Nico can be a skirmisher to make sure you get the vulnerable. But I can't because my Photon Spider-Woman combo is not enough to take out the Red Hulk. And because I hit the Red Hulk and he has offense down, what would happen is if I targeted Red Hulk, it would give him the debuffs, it would give She-Hulk the debuffs who didn't get hit, and it would give Braun the debuffs who has no offense down. So, gotta throw it on the Green Hulk, and we're hoping for a Raider crit on the Red Hulk, and we absolutely got it. This is why I don't recommend this matchup. If there's a full Gamma team, throw Nowhere at it. If you're being instructed to use your Nowhere team on maybe an Apocalypse Darkhold, I can understand how that is the changing factor as if you would need to take this matchup. But because we got the vulnerable, we're able to easily kill the Red Hulk. Even if he survives this, He now has defense down, and as you see, we can just take our time. Take him out with the special from Photon. We could have done the basic there. We still have Captain Marvel's turn coming up. There's so much in our favor at this point that is kind of ridiculous. Now you got to decide what you want to do. Do you want to try and, we have offensive Captain Marvel, right? Do you want to try and take out the Abomination? Do you want to try and take out the Green Hulk? We know that She-Hulk will get healed on her next turn if she doesn't get taken off. I believe the Bronze Ultimate heals through heal block. I want to show that. So I don't think this is going to kill She-Hulk on the binary charge, but I want to do it just to show that what can go wrong, essentially. Here comes the binary attack, and there goes him. Here comes the heal, and as you see, the Brawn Ultimate 100% heals through heal block. I don't know why heal block is even a debuff if there's abilities that just bypass it. But that is one of the reasons why I also don't like this map. Because if your team cannot kill the Red Hulk on your first set of attacks, he gets that heal, and you just never get to catch up. And so it could be very, very, very sketchy. With that said, let's go ahead and just finish this match off. Because we did kill the Red Hulk, we're not too worried about it. Lots of debuffs on the She-Hulk, so we'll use the ultimate from our Spider-Woman. Let's follow the vulnerables for our... Alright, so here we are on a much bigger Gamma Apocalypse. Now this is a 430k punch-up. This is a gear to your 18, 7 red star Red Hulk. Watch the difference in how this fight plays out now. And I hope we get the Nico crit on the Red Hulk, just to emphasize that. First of all, you can clearly see if that was on my Photon, rip Photon. Also, if this retaliate were to happen, that would have been a rip Jessica Jones. We got to do what we got to do. We got to throw this ultimate up in the air. Did we get a crit on Red Hulk? We did not. That's not going to be a great thing. So we'll try and attack away from the Red Hulk as much as we can. And you see we're just not doing anywhere near the damage. So maybe let's do a reset and let's wait until we get a crit from the Nico. So I can kind of show you how it's so close that it's too scary to try. All right, so here we are back at it. Here we go again. So let's strip this off. Do we get a retaliate from the Apocalypse? We don't. Let's see if we can get that vulnerable on the Red Hulk this time. We cannot. I still have another thing we could show you here that we could try instead. So we can try putting the defense down using the basic from our Spider-Woman instead. This is also where we can start playing with ISOs. So we could have Photon as a skirmisher. We could have Spider-Woman as a skirmisher. Because they have tied speed, it doesn't help us in kind of establishing a sequence of events. But Captain Marvel is slower, so we know if one of them is a skirmisher, for sure Captain Marvel will be hitting to a vulnerable at least. So what I'll do is I'm going to do the basic here. Why do the basic? Well, as you saw in the last fight, if you do the special, you're going to push the Apocalypse. A-Force just does tremendous damage. We definitely want to kill this Red Hulk before that becomes an issue. So we use the basic. And now Captain Marvel has the opportunity to kill him. But again, no vulnerable is no bueno. Let's go ahead and pop that off. And as you see, not even close. Let's reset one more time and see if we can get Nico to do her crit here. All right, so here we are. And as if we're hunting for RNG to even just show like the best case scenario that still ends in a loss, then what are we really doing, right? Okay, there goes the retaliate. So we didn't see that in the last 2 attempts. That clearly messes with things because now he has speed up. We did get a crit on Red Hulk this time. That's fantastic. Because we have the crit, he has 1 vulnerable. We definitely don't want to hit him with Photon. We get the blinds over here. We didn't get the we didn't get what we wanted on the Red Hulk as far as the vulnerable goes. That's an interesting new one. But as you can see, with that vulnerable, we get him a lot lower. Healing coming out from them being healers, and the Apocalypse is going to step in because he got that speed up and our team got slow. Look, if I'm hunting for the RNG here, guys, to show you the best case scenario where Apocalypse still just runs a train on you and kills you, then what's the point of trying this matchup? No. This matchup, you go in with the traditional burn team, that is the Mysterio Phoenix combination. You pull the Red Hulk, you pull the Apocalypse ultimate. You don't pull the Red Hulk ultimate because you die too quickly, even in security. Then you go with Nowhere. Why Nowhere? Why don't you follow it up with P-Force? Because Red Hulk is still going to do his ultimate eventually, and then your Nova just flips it, right? So against Gamma APOC, that's the move. I think that's kind of the meta we're heading into. We'll see if New Avengers changes things or if Super Skrull changes things. But that'll do it for this P-Force how-to video, if you will. A lot of people were asking me about this, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it kind of taught you some things. Again, the most important thing is just understanding your ISOs and understanding how Nico's ultimate works. After that, the A-Force team just kind of does their own thing. They just do that much damage. Let's throw this off for good measure. Let's call it a day. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.